Welcome, young dreamers, to Magic Star Bedtime, where the ancient winds whisper tales of old, and the stars themselves spin stories for slumber. Tonight, we journey far across the icy seas, to the land of the Vikings, not to hear of battles, but of dreams, of daring journeys, and of the quiet wisdom that guides the bravest heart. Gather close, pull your blankets tight, and let your minds drift to a time long, long ago. In a land of towering fjords and emerald green valleys, nestled beside a glittering, restless sea, lived a young Viking girl named Freyja. Freyja was not known for her strength with an axe, nor her booming voice in the longhouse. Instead, her greatest gifts were her sharp eyes, her curious mind, and a heart that felt a deep, secret connection to the stars above. While others learned to mend nets or carve runes, Freyja would often sneak away to the highest cliff, overlooking the village of Ravensfjord, and there, under the vast, inky canvas of night, she would lose herself in the constellation. She knew the names of the stars, the trails of the wandering planets, and the ancient stories woven into their patterns. Her grandmother, a wise old woman with eyes like polished amber, had taught her that the stars were not just distant lights, but guides, whispers from the gods, and memory keepers of all voyages. One day, a quiet worry began to settle over Ravensfjord. The fishing, once so plentiful, had grown scarce. The waters, usually teeming with life, felt strangely empty. The village chieftain, a strong and thoughtful man named Halfdan, called together his wisest elders and bravest warriors. "We have sailed far," he said, "but we have found no new fishing grounds, no untouched shores to sustain us. Our people grow hungry, and winter draws near." Despair, like a cold fog, began to creep into the hearts of the villagers. Many spoke of moving, of leaving their beloved fjord behind. But Freyja, sitting quietly by the fire, remembered a story her grandmother had told her, a legend of an emerald isle far to the west, shrouded in mist, said to be a land of abundant fish, lush pastures, and waters so clear you could see the bottom of the sea. But the tale was old, and none knew the path to reach it. That night, as the village slept, Freyja climbed to her cliff-top perch. The air was crisp, and the stars blazed with an almost impossibly bright light. She closed her eyes, picturing the Emerald Isle, imagining its green hills and sparkling waters. Then she opened her eyes and looked up, seeking guidance. As she gazed, a faint, glimmering line of stars, previously unnoticed, seemed to connect across the sky, pointing westward. It wasn't a familiar constellation, but a subtle, almost invisible thread of light, like a path woven just for her. And within that starry path, She felt a quiet knowing, a sense of direction that resonated deep within her soul. The next morning, with a quiet but determined heart, Freyja approached Chieftain Halfdan. "I believe I have found the way to the Emerald Isle," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "The stars showed me a path, a secret guide across the vast water." The chieftain listened, his brow furrowed with thought. Many of the warriors scoffed, murmuring about a young girl's dreams. But Halfdan, seeing the unwavering belief in Freyja's eyes and remembering her grandmother's wisdom, decided to trust her. "If the stars have spoken to you, Freyja," he announced, "then we shall follow their light. We shall prepare the longship, the sea serpent, and you, Freyja, shall be our star guide." The news spread through Raven's Fjord. Some were hopeful, some fearful, but all watched as the great longship with its carved dragon head was made ready. Provisions were packed, sails were mended, and the bravest of the villagers gathered, ready to embark on this unprecedented voyage, guided by a young girl and the stars. The day of departure dawned clear and bright. As the sea serpent slipped silently from the fjord, its single square sail catching the morning breeze, Freyja stood at the bow, her eyes fixed on the distant horizon, and her heart connected to the silent, guiding stars. The journey was long and challenging. Days blended into nights, and the sea, vast and unpredictable, sometimes churned with angry waves, sometimes lay flat and still as glass. Doubts began to murmur among the crew. "Are we truly on the right path?" they'd whisper. "Is this Emerald Isle but a dream?" But each night, when the stars emerged, Freyja would stand on the deck, a simple astrolabe in her hands, her eyes searching the heavens. She would point a quiet certainty in her voice. "We must steer a little more to the west, by the Hunter's Belt, and then turn north as the Dragon's Eye rises." She spoke not of numbers or charts, but of the stories and patterns she had learned. And the crew, seeing the steady light in her eyes, followed her guidance. Many weeks passed. The provisions dwindled, and the faces of the crew grew weary. Just as hope seemed about to falter, on a particularly clear morning, as the sun began to paint the eastern sky, a cry rang out from the masthead, "Land ho! Greenland!" And there it was. Not a harsh, rocky shore, but a gentle rolling land, covered in the most vibrant emerald green, dotted with trees and sparkling streams. As the sea serpent drew closer, they saw abundant fish leaping from the clear waters, and herds of deer grazing peacefully in the meadows. It was the Emerald Isle, exactly as the legend had described. The villagers rejoiced. Tears streamed down the weathered faces of the warriors, and laughter echoed across the water as they landed on the soft, welcoming shores. They built new homes, established new fishing grounds, and found that the land was generous and kind. Freyja, still quiet and humble, never boasted of her achievement. She knew it wasn't just her cleverness, but the ancient wisdom of the stars and the trust that her people had placed in her. She continued to visit the highest points of their new home, gazing up at the familiar, comforting patterns of the night sky. She knew that the stars had guided them, and that they would continue to watch over them, silent guardians in the vast cosmos. And the people of Ravensfjord, now settled in their new prosperous home, never forgot the young girl who had found their salvation not with a sword, but with a quiet heart and eyes that could read the language of the stars. They told stories of Freyja, the star-guided seeker, and learned that true courage often lay in listening to the gentle whispers of the world and in trusting the quiet light within. Narrator. And so, young dreamers, as you drift to sleep, remember Freyja, the quiet Viking girl who listened to the stars. Remember that even when life seems vast and uncertain, there is always a path, a guiding light, if you look closely and listen with your heart. May your dreams be filled with gentle voyages, sparkling stars, and the comforting feeling of finding your way home. Narrator, good night, sleep tight, and may your dreams be as bright as the magic stars.